Now I'll start with the rock cycle. Okay. So in the rock system, if you understand the geology of India, where which rock is present in India, in Indian continent, then you will be able to understand why a particular mineral is found there and why particular resources are found there, why particular energy resources is found there. Okay. Then it becomes very easy to memorize the things, or it becomes very easy to extrapolate the things or guess the things in the examination. Okay. Basic factual things will be covering from 10th NCRT or 11th NCRT. Okay. More than that, I don't think anything is needed. Okay. Mainly, I believe the conceptual part. From the conceptual part, you will be able to guess up the things, and if that does not, if that is not sufficient, then you can have this look at the maps I have attached from the NCRT. Okay. So, with respect to rocks, which is the most mineral which is found on the most maximum mineral which is found on the earth crust is oxygen, and maximum mineral which is found in the entire earth is the iron. Okay. If I consider the entire earth including interior and exterior, then both in that case iron will be maximum mineral, and if I consider only the earth crust, then it will be oxygen. Now there are three types of rocks. Let me see recording. Okay. Now there are three types of rocks. One is the igneous rocks, sedimentary and metamorphic. Okay. So igneous rocks are primary rocks. Okay. I guess this question came in mains also. Okay. So it is important for both for prelims and mains. So they are primary rocks, the rocks from which all the other rocks are formed. For example, sedimentary rocks is also formed from igneous. Metamorphic is also formed from igneous. Okay. They are the primary rocks from which all the other rocks are formed. Primary igneous rocks are nothing but the magma that has come out on the earth's surface in the form of lava. Okay. When that lava solidifies, then it becomes the igneous rocks. Black cotton soil, this Deccan trap is the best example of igneous soil in the Indian continent, and those Deccan traps eventually, when the pedogenesis of that rock happened, then we got the formation of black cotton soil, and that eventually led to the growth of cash crops over there. Okay? And the entire economy, most of the agricultural economy is dependent on the black soil and its aeration ability as an all. Okay? So that was an igneous rock. Now sedimentary rocks means that the rocks that has been eroded by the weathering agents and the erosion agents. Okay? For example, river, glacier, or winds, and etc. When these eroding agents erode or weather these rocks, igneous rocks, okay, then they break them into the smaller parts which are known as the sediments. And when these sediments are stratified, okay, and layer by layer they are deposited, and when they are stratified, they are consolidated, they are solidified, they are lithified, then they are known as the sedimentary rocks. The best example in Indian case is the Great Plains. Okay. And then when these both of these can be formed as a metamorphic rock. Metamorphic rock simply means any rock that has undergone a temperature and pressure changes. Okay. So if there is a very high temperature and pressure changes that has occurred, then the rock may change its form. Okay. Then that rock will be known as a metamorphic rock. The best example in this case is the Peninsular Plateau. Okay. Peninsular Plateau is made up of metamorphic rock. Over that, igneous rock was made by the Reunion Island. Okay. So we can say that Peninsular Plateau acts as a base of entire Indian continent, and that was a metamorphic form. And over that, black soil was deposited by the Reunion Island. And when Indian plate was abducting under the Eurasian plate, then this Himalayas were formed. Himalayas were formed by the upliftment of sediments of Tethys Sea. But those sediments eventually underwent a temperature and pressure changes. Hence, Himalayan rocks also transformed themselves from sedimentary rock to the metamorphic rock. Okay. So this is a basic understanding of this. Now, see, igneous rocks, they are made from the lava. Okay, magma. That comes from the inside and eventually deposited as a lava on the surface. So they cannot contain any fossils because the temperature is so high that any living organ cannot survive in that temperature. So igneous rocks will not contain any fossils. That's why black soil, which is black cotton soil, is having very low humus, and because originally humus was not present. Humus may have come to the external agents in the form of tree leaves or all, but originally there was no fossils, hence it cannot contain any this humus. Okay, but sedimentary with respect to sedimentary rock, it is not true, because sedimentary rocks are formed by the deposition of sediments, silicification. Then in these cases, fossils will be present, and due to those fossils only, we'll be having this agriculture ongoing, groundwater recharging, or this minerals and all these things will be found. Okay. Now these are primary rocks, these are the hard rocks. Okay, it is very tough to break them down. Okay, it takes years to break them down. Okay, and they are crystalline, they are crystallized when they are brought out. For example, inside that, let's say this is a surface. Okay, this is our surface, and below the surface there will be just like volcano. I so told you, when let's say volcano is coming out, so these are the intrusive volcanoes. Okay, intrusive volcanoes means the volcanoes which are present beneath the surface. Okay, and these are extrusive volcanoes which are present above the surface. So intrusive volcanoes, okay, they are nothing but igneous, intrusive igneous rocks. Okay, because when this magma will solidify under the earth surface, they will become igneous rocks. So we will say that these rocks are intrusive, they are inside the earth surface. When the magma comes out and it solidifies, then it becomes extrusive rock surface, extrusive igneous rocks. Okay, so example of extrusive is basalt, because we know that this Deccan traps are made of basalt, black cotton soil. And intrusive are the example of granite and gabbro. Okay. And on the basis of crystallization, when the magma cools, when the magma comes out, as a lava on the surface, lava cools with respect to time. Okay, so depending upon the rate of cooling, the crystallization process takes place. Okay, if the rate of cooling is very fast, then the basalt is formed. Okay, if the rate of cooling was very slow, then granite was formed. Okay, because it is inside the inside the surface, the rate of cooling was less, because there was no external wind that was causing the cooling of the surface. So inside it, the rate of cooling was less, so that's why the granite was formed. Outside, when it came outside as a as a Deccan traps, so rate of cooling was fast, so basalt was formed. And we also know that basalt is very basic in nature, that's why it spread out. Okay, in the form of, it was very fluidic in nature, that's why it spread out. It was containing this I guess more iron and less silica. Okay, that's why it is basic. Now sedimentary rocks are when they are broken down. Okay, then it becomes sedimentary. Now weathering will take place, and then erosion agents will bring them down. Okay, and then they will be cemented and lithified into the stratified form, and hence that's why they are soft rocks. They are not hard rocks as igneous rocks. Okay, so each and every point I am telling you, this is important, because this is a conceptual part. If you are able to understand this conceptual part, it becomes easy to guess up the things in the mains examination or in the prelims examination both. Okay, so they are soft rocks. And now what is the implication of this soft rocks? Okay, that they are softer, what is the implication of this? Implication is that groundwater recharge can be done, because great plains are formed of sedimentary rocks. Okay, well, great plains are sedimentary rocks, and since they are soft in nature, that's why groundwater recharge can take place. And that's why, if the groundwater recharge can take place, that's why this agriculture is very prominent in the great plains. Okay, second thing is, since the sedimentary rocks are weathered and deposited by the erosion agents, so they are fertile in nature. You know, that's why agriculture practices is more prominent in the great plains. Okay, so that this is very important. That's why this soft nature is actually beneficial for us. Okay, and it provides us energy resources, food resources, groundwater recharge, industrial revolution, minerals and resources for the industrial revolution. Okay, so at the base surface will be the hard rocks, igneous rocks, and when they will be pedogenesis will take place, the breaking down of these hard rocks will take place, then we will have a sedimentary rocks, and above this we will have a soil, and in the form of pedogenesis. I guess Manish might have covered this, how this pedogenesis process is taking place. Okay, in the 4-5 stages, there are 4-5 stages he must have covered. I'll cover the basic soil profile of India. The process of pedogenesis Manish must have covered. Okay. Now sedimentary rocks can be of three types: physical, formed due to physical weathering, formed due to this chemical process, or formed due to the oxidation process. These are the three processes, and you also have to remember the examples. Okay, that's why I have written them. Each and every example is important over here, and it becomes very important in the with respect to this prelims and means both, to learn the examples. So when physical process means this entire physical, for example, physical erosion agents, wind or river or glacier, all these things. Okay? Physically, the things are taking, no chemical changes taking place, only physical changes of forces of gravitational forces or all these forces physical forces are actually weathering your rocks. Okay, so due to this, first of all, sandstone will be found. When sandstone will be broken down into more smaller pieces, clay will be found. When clay will be broken down into more pieces, then shale will be formed, shale gas. When shale gas will be broken down into more pieces, then loess will be formed. Okay, loess is actually known, when wherever the loess is present, that area is known as a badland. And in India also we have a badland topography, and that is around Chambals. Okay, Chambal ravines, that is known as Chambal ravines, because it is having so soft profile that each and every time the river passes through it, the river changes its course. Okay, I guess Kosi will be also be having this uh, lowest profile. Okay. And in internationally also, I guess Yellow River is also having this lowest profile. Okay. So these are this lowest profile or this clay profile will is notorious for the badlands topography. When the chemical process is taking place, when the एक second, when the chemical process is taking place, then it can be done in the three methods: solution method, carbonation method, oxidation method. Solution method means that just you are dissolving this you're dissolving the sediments. Okay, they are being dissolved by the water. Okay, so NaCl or potash are examples. Carbonation means this you're carbonating the things. For example, the examples are limestone and gypsum. When this oxidation process is taking place, then the example rusting of iron. Oxidation means this there are more examples of oxidation. For example, chalk, coal, okay, corals, okay, limestone. Now this is the fundamental understanding. If you have this understanding, then you will be easy, it is very easy to understand how this mineral rock processes are present across the India. I told this when I was teaching this continental drift theory, that due to this Indian landmass was having the vegetation. Okay, so when that vegetation underwent submergence of fresh water. Okay, from where did we get the fresh water? Because there are glaciation evidences in the peninsular area, Chota Nagpur area, that the ice caps were present in Indian peninsular plateau in the earlier times. Okay, so when the Holocene period started, when the melting of ice caps started, those ice caps eventually turned into the fresh water, and the vegetation that were present over that area, though that vegetation underwent the submergence of fresh water, and eventually that vegetation transformed itself into coal. Okay, so whenever the vegetation will underwent the submergence of fresh water, it will lead to the formation of coal. When the vegetation will underwent the submergence of saline water, it will lead to the formation of oil and gas. That's why coal is present within the continent, within the Indian subcontinent, and oil and gas are present offshores. Okay, on the coast or offshores. Okay, this is the reason, because offshore we have the saline water, and inside there was a glaciation evidence in the peninsular plateau region, Chota Nagpur area. That's why we have the coal evidences over there. Okay. Igneous rock, I told you. Igneous rock is the black cotton. The best example is this. Sedimentary is the Great Plains or this Brahmaputra Plains. And this metamorphic is this. Metamorphic is nothing but any rock that underwent a strong change. For example, Himalayas were initially sedimentary rock. Why? Because those were formed by the upliftment of sediments of Tethys Sea. But eventually, those got converted into metamorphic rock because of temperature pressure changes. So Himalayas are also a metamorphic rock. Second example of metamorphic rock of India is Peninsular Plateau, regional Peninsular Plateau. I explained this when I was telling in the first lecture. Let me show it again. See this. This was an initial peninsular plateau of India. Okay, and it was having two arms, northeastern arm and Aravalli arm. When it was traveling upwards, okay, it met a reunion hotspot. Reunion hotspot led to the formation of black soil over here. Okay, this Deccan traps over here, and those Deccan traps eventually weathered into the form of black soil. Okay. Now this original landmass, this original landmass, it was having this Gondwana coal. Okay, why Gondwana coal? I told you this Indian coal is known as Gondwana coal, and that Gondwana coal was formed due to the melting of melting of ice caps near this Chota Nagpur plateau and submergence of vegetation under that. Okay, so we had this Gondwana coal over here. I explained this. Peninsular plateau, it was originally metamorphic. So why do I say that it is metamorphic? Because it underwent it could prevent itself from breakdown for so many years. Okay, so it must have been very hard rocks. So these hard rocks, these peninsular plateaus known as Archean gneiss schist. Okay, I'll show this name later. Okay, I'll draw a comparison table. So this is Archean gneiss schist. These are the sedimentary rocks, and these sedimentary rocks we have this. covering by this Deccan Trough, which is known as black soil, and underneath the black soil we will be having this peninsular plateau rocks, Archean is, okay, and this will be this, all this will be red soil, okay. Eventually Archean when weathered into the when was weathered by the erosion agent, it transformed itself into red soil, and when the igneous rock was weathered, it transformed into black soil, okay. And when this Himalayas were formed, so this it transformed into metamorphic rock due to temperature and pressure changes. Now when these Himalayas were broke down, okay, when these Himalayas were weathered and by the erosion agents of like rivers, okay, Ganga, Brahmaputra, or and many rivers, Indus, eventually those sediments were deposited over here, and those became Great Plains, okay. So and eventually Great Plains, then it led to the recharge of groundwater through this porous and permeability nature of the soft rocks, okay. And one more thing I also explained, this Falda Gap, Malda fault, Gondwana Gola explained, due to this glaciation evidence. Malda fault was that when it was traveling upwards, this the fault developed over here, this region. Now that fault was deposited, was filled up by the sediments of this Brahmaputra river. Eventually it got transformed into the plains. Okay. Now reunion hotspot I explained, collision I explained, in Himalayas this transformed into metamorphic rocks, and Great Plains I explained, sedimentary rocks. Okay. Now this is the basics. Now what happened is metamorphic rocks I told you. Okay, so these Himalayas are metamorphic rocks, so they are foliated rocks. Okay, now why they do not contain any fossil? Can anyone explain? Because since they underwent so high temperature and pressure changes, so no fossil can survive. So in the metamorphic rock and in igneous rock, you will never see a fossils. So if I tell you that forest soils do not have are low in humus, you will be able to understand. एक तो forest soils है, मान लो Himalayan soil है. Himalayan soil में एक तो there will be very lesser leaves, ठीक है. Also it was also metamorphic rock that was broken down, so it will always be low in humus. Similarly, black soil will also be low in humus. Okay, likewise you can extrapolate the things. Now it is also hard rock, okay, because why it is a hard rock? Because it is sustaining the Himalaya. There it is a hard rock. It underwent temperature pressure changes, so it become a hard rock, okay. Now since if the rock is very hard, okay, then it will eventually contain metallic minerals. Okay, if a rock is hard, or I can say if any rock system is containing metallic minerals, then it must be a hard rock. Or I can say that if a rock is hard, then it must be containing metallic minerals. ठीक है, that's why I'll say कि जो ये वाला सिस्टम है ना अपना, ये वाला जैसे ये वाला है, जैसे इंडियन रॉक्स है, तो ये वाला जो पूरा सिस्टम है, ये वाला, ये फर्स्ट आर्म था हमारा पेनिनसुलर प्लेटो का, ये सेकंड आर्म था, ठीक है, और ये सारे का सारा ये वाला एरिया पूरे का पूरा क्या था, ये पूरे दिस एंटायर एरिया वाज peninsular plateau. This was the first arm, this was the second arm, ठीक है. So this entire plateau was metamorphic rock. It is known as the Archean schist, ठीक है, सारा एरिया. Now it was covered up by the basaltic rock, ठीक है, तो it is a igneous rock, है ना. But when it was traveling upwards, the Malda Gap was formed over here. Gondwana cone was formed over here, and this particular region underwent a faulting, है ना. So if I am saying this region is underwent a faulting, this simply means that this region must be weak in nature. It is not a hard rock over here. Okay, so we will say that since this area underwent a faulting, it is not a hard rock. Hence, we can say that this particular region will not have a metallic minerals. Okay, so where will you find the metallic minerals? Wherever you have this Archean schist, metamorphic rocks. ठीक है, basaltic में तो मिलेगा नहीं, basaltic में तो metallic minerals नहीं, वो तो igneous rock है, ठीक है, तो यहाँ पे आपको मिल जाएगा. इसलिए that's why over here you will see iron and this all the iron ores, ठीक है. Over here Chota Nagpur plateau you will see the iron ores. Why also in Chota Nagpur plateau, why do we have this coal, Gondwana coal over here? Because of the glacial evidences of the when it was moving towards this Indian plate, and it was confirmed by continental drift theory, ठीक है. So coal यहाँ पे मिल गया, मेटेलिक मिनरल्स यहाँ पे मिल गए, यहाँ पे मेटेलिक मिनरल्स मिल गए, ठीक है, यहाँ पे भी सारे मेटेलिक मिनरल्स होंगे आपके, ठीक है. यहाँ पे नहीं है, यहाँ पे फॉल्टिंग रीजन है, तो यहाँ पे मेटेलिक मिनरल्स नहीं है, यहाँ पे कुछ और है, अभी बताता हूँ क्या. यहाँ पे क्या है, आपके जेमस्टोन्स है, ठीक है. Now इस वाले आर्म में दिस वाज आल्सो फर्स्ट आर्म, ठीक है, तो दैट्स व्हाई राजस्थान और अरावली एरिया इज आल्सो हैविंग द मेटेलिक मिनरल्स. दैट्स व्हाई देयर वाज अ क्वेश्चन इन 2018 कि राजस्थान हैज आयरन ओर्स, ठीक है. Why that statement was true? Because that statement cannot be that's you cannot learn these things, ठीक है, in the books. है ना. If you think that you can learn these things and get the question correct, it is very tough. You have to solve those questions from the understanding. Now, since this was the first arm of the Peninsular Plateau, and Peninsular Plateau is made of metamorphic rock, Archeneous, and Archeneous, it is a hard rock. Hard rock means metallic minerals will be present, and metallic minerals simply means that it must be having iron. Similarly, if a question comes that over here this metallic minerals are found, iron ore is present, though it is evident that it will be having the iron ore because it is an arm of Peninsular Plateau. Yeah, it is a part of Peninsular Plateau. I guess this is clear. ठीक है, तो ये हो गया. अब ये वाला I guess this part is clear. ठीक है, अभी और आते हैं. मेटामॉर्फिक हो गया, तो आयरन मेटेलिक मिनरल्स मींस आयरन, गोल्ड, कॉपर, ठीक है, ऑल दीस थिंग्स. नाउ दीज आर द तुम्हारा सेडिमेंट्री रॉक्स, ठीक है, और इग्नियस रॉक्स. देन सेडिमेंट्री रॉक्स प्राइमरीली, एंड हाउ दे गेट transformed into metamorphic and what are the names. For example, limestone transforms to marble under temperature pressure changes. Coal first transforms to diamond and then transforms to graphite. Bituminous transforms to anthracite. Bituminous, our Indian coal, that is Gondwana coal, is a bituminous coal. I covered this in the lecture 1. Okay? And when it undergoes temperature pressure changes, it transforms into anthracite. And when I was covered in the Indian coal, let me show. When I was covering this Indian coal, I told you that in India also we are having anthracite evidence. How is it true? And why that anthracite is present in Himalayan region only? I told this. Wait, see, I told Indian coal is having all the varieties: anthracite, bituminous, lignite, peat. Majority of the coal is bituminous coal. That is a Gondwana coal, which was due to the glaciation, melting of glaciers. But we also have anthracite. Why is it true? Because this particular area, it underwent a metamorphosis. ठीक है. So these sedimentary the coal that was formed due to the melting of ice and a vegetation and underventing the fresh water, that transformed into coal. But that coal transformed into anthracite due to temperature and pressure changes when the Himalayan systems were formed due to the heavy faulting. ठीक है. So that's why we also have this anthracite coal also in India. And where is it present? In the Kalakot, Jammu and Kashmir. Where it is present? In the Kalakot, Jammu and Kashmir. ठीक है. Majority colleges in Chhattisgarh Nagpur Plateau. ठीक है. So this is done. Now you will understand why I am telling this. आधा घंटा मैंने क्यों खराब किया? You will understand why this makes economic geography very easy if you understand the geology of India. ठीक है. Just wait. Now bituminous transforms to anthracite, granite transforms to gneiss. Okay. And now I am saying that Archeneous and schist. Why? What I am saying is this is Archeneous and schist. What is this gneiss and schist? These are the metamorphosized form of granite and shale. Okay. What are granite and shale? Granite and shale are sedimentary rocks. Okay. I covered this over here. Shale and granite. Granite क्या है? Granite तो igneous rock है. Granite is igneous rock. Shale is sedimentary rock. When it underwent a metamorphosis when this Indian plate was traveling towards this North Eurasian plate, the time was so large. Okay? So it eventually underwent a temperature and pressure changes due to so many things that must have happened in the Cambrian area or Precambrian area. Okay? So those changes took place, and it transformed into gneiss and schist. And we know that gneiss and schist means hard rock means metallic minerals means all these things will be present. Okay. Now sandstones transforms into slate and quartzite. Now minerals can be divided into metallic, non-metallic, energy. Energy means coal, petroleum, natural gas. Now tell me where will we find natural gas, or where will we find petroleum, where will we find coal? Coal we will find where the fresh water will be available. Vegetation can undergo submergence of fresh water. Petroleum and oil gas will find where saline water will be present. Okay? So you can easily guess where these minerals are present. Okay? Let me show the map. See, ये रहा आपका ऑयल रिफाइनरीज. ठीक है, ये तो रिफाइनरी है. चलो यहाँ पे आपको वो नहीं है, आपका एनर्जी रिसोर्सेज दिखाता हूँ मैं. रिफाइनरी तो ह्यूमन मेड ना. ये देखो यहाँ पे आपको, ये देखो ये क्या है, नेचुरल गैस रिजर्व. देखो मोस्टली सारे कहाँ मिल रहे हैं, तो ये चलो बाय चांस यहाँ मिल गया, नहीं तो देखो ये क्या है, ये सारे के सारे ऑफशोर है और सेलाइन वाटर के पास है. ठीक है. कोल फील्ड्स, देखो कोल फील्ड सारी की सारी अंदर है. ठीक है, सारी अंदर है क्योंकि फ्रेश वाटर अंदर ही मिलेगा आपको. यहाँ पे फ्रेश वाटर है. ग्लेशिएशन एविडेंसेस ऑफ बाय कॉन्टिनेंटल ड्रिफ्ट थ्योरी. ठीक है. नई वाली में सबसे बेकार क्वालिटी का कोल मिलता है, पीट क्वालिटी. ठीक है, ये समझ गए ना. अब नाउ इट इज इजी. नाउ व्हाट डू यू हैव टू डू इज यू जस्ट हैव टू रिमेंबर दीज नेम्स, है ना. कंसेप्चुअल थिंग्स आई हैव कवर्ड. ठीक है. नाउ but you just have to remember these names if you want to. ठीक है. अब देखो इसमें I covered this minerals, metallic minerals, where metallic minerals will be present in the peninsular plateau. ठीक है. peninsular plateau कहाँ है? ये वाला राजस्थान का फर्स्ट आर्म में होगा, यहाँ पे होगा नॉर्थ ईस्ट में, और ये सारे का सारा जो होगा ये सारा एरिया होगा. ठीक है. एंड why we do not have any metallic minerals over here? Because it is covered by black soil. ठीक है. beneath the black soil we have we have this Archean cyst, but black soil is so thick that it has covered our everything, and we are not able to penetrate the black soil and reach the area underneath this. ठीक है. So that's why we are experiencing only this area. Okay, I guess this conceptually this part is clear. That's why if you clearly see now, this is a black soil. See, this is a black soil, and surrounding black soil we have a red soil. And what is red soil? What do we mean by red soil? Archean cyst, when broken down into parts, the pedogenesis of Archean cyst led to the formation of black soil. And why we are having this red soil over here also? Because northeastern arm of peninsular plateau. Okay, it must be present over here also, somewhere something must be present over here also, this red soil. Okay, now if anyone says that Rajasthan is having a red soil, will you mark it correct statement or wrong statement? First of all, on the basis of the skeleton key, you can say that it cannot be negated. Okay, then it is true. But on the basis of concepts also, you can say that okay, there may be a red soil because of the first arm of peninsular plateau. I guess this part is clear, है ना? अब देखो, अब ये वाला कौन सा रोक है, ये वाला कौन सा सॉइल है? ग्रेट प्लेन्स वाला सॉइल, सेडिमेंट्री सॉइल. ठीक है, तो यहाँ लिखा भी होगा एलुवियल सॉइल. एलुवियल सॉइल सिंपली मींस दिस फ्लड प्लेन्स. ठीक है. अब यहाँ पे भी ये सारे के सारे ऑल दिस रीजन वाज कवर्ड बाय ब्लैक सॉइल. ठीक है, दिस इज रेड सॉइल. ओके, नाउ व्हाई दिस पर्टिकुलर एरिया इज हैविंग दिस लेटराइट सॉइल? because of heavy leaching. I'll tell this in the climatology, that over here we experience so much rainfall that the leaching has taken place. That's why it is having a different soil profile. Okay, due to climatology this is having a laterite soil. Okay, and why now this is a forest mountain soil. Now you can easily guess forest mountain soil में humus होगा या नहीं होगा, या what could be the properties of forest mountain soil. I guess this soil profile is covered. Basically, the fundamental. And now why this coast area is having this alluvial soil? Because of delta formation. Everything is connected. If you conceptually understand the things, everything is connected. Okay. And now why do I have this? Now we can have a more detailed soil profile map, but still there may be some small patches ना. Small patches तो होंगे ना. There may be some exceptions. For example, यहाँ पे let's say over here, this particular area I have a laterite soil. Now there may be a chance that this ये वाला यहाँ से बारिश आई हो, यहाँ पे बहुत ज्यादा बारिश हो गई. ठीक है, रेन का बारिश के कारण यहाँ पे बहुत ज्यादा हो गई, ओडिशा में आती है वैसे भी बारिश. ठीक है, ये अरेबियन सी ब्रांच में टूटी, बे ऑफ बंगाल ब्रांच ने यहाँ पे बारिश करवा दी. why we do not have this laterite soil over here? Because यहाँ तक बारिश आते सारी बारिश यहाँ पे खत्म हो जाती है ना. why do we have this laterite soil in the Meghalaya? Because Meghalaya receives so much rainfall. समझ रहे हो? Now I'll cover this. I guess this particular diagram is clear ना, है ना? First arm, second arm, general peninsular plateau covered by basaltic. ठीक है, and this smaller part underwent a fault through which Narmada and Tapi is flowing. ठीक है, so we will not have metallic minerals in this particular fault area. Otherwise, we will be having metallic minerals over here also, here also, but not in the fault area, because fault area displays that this particular area was having a weak zone, है ना? And whenever there is a weak zone, metallic minerals cannot sustain over there. ठीक है, metallic minerals are always present in the hard rocks. ठीक है, तो this profile should be clear. Now this is a general profile geology. अब देखो यही है, देखो क्या है. What is this brown area? Brown area is Archean cyst. ठीक है, and it is a smaller area of this Archean cyst is covered by the black soil. This is green area. ठीक है, this is a Deccan Trap black soil. ठीक है, and now black soil, since it is this due to the properties of black soil that it can self arenate itself, or it is a clay soil. ठीक है, it can store the water. ठीक है, so dry zone agriculture is possible, so cash crops can be grown over here. ठीक है, because less water will be required, because it can itself hold the water holding capacity due to the clay nature. ठीक है, now why over here we have the agriculture and no this industrial revolution is happening over here? Because it is a sedimentary rock. Sedimentary rock cannot have a metallic minerals. That's why agriculture society. ठीक है, Now, why do we have this all metallic minerals over here? Because of archaneogenesis. Why do we have coal over here? Because of glaciation, the melting of glaciers. Why do we have this metamorphic rock over here? Because of the Himalaya formation, sediments of Himalayas metamorphosized into metamorphic rocks. Okay. Now, why do we have this metamorphic, this wala metamorphic rock? Why? Because it was a Purvanchal. It also got metamorphosized when it was. This is a syntactical band over here. Okay. These are the part of this Great Himalayas. This is a syntactical band. These are also Himalayas. है ना? I guess this part is clear. Now this is a summary. Okay. Or oldest rock system is Archean rock system. You have to remember each and every word over here, whatever I have mentioned. Okay. It will be useful either in the mains or on the prelims. Okay. I have not included any word that is not useful for the exam. Okay. So you have to remember that oldest rock system was Archean. Then the Purana rocks were formed, then Dravidian rocks were formed, then Aryan rocks were formed. ठीक है. Archean के अंदर we have the two rocks, Archean Neocensis and the Dharwar. ठीक है. Neocensis simply means the peninsular plateau वाला वो. ठीक है. Peninsular plateau वाला area. So it forms the backbones and it will not contain any fossils. Dharwar sediments are smaller sediments. ठीक है. For example, smaller sediments. For example, यहाँ पे है. यहीं पे आपको ये मिलता है. You must have remembered कि around the Goa area, Karnataka area, we have the iron. We export the iron ores to the Japan. है ना? Why is it so? Why we have the iron ores over here? Because of Dharwar sediments only. ठीक है. So these are the you can say that I am saying that these are Dharwar sediments. ठीक है. But they got metamorphosized with the time. ठीक है. So you will not say that it is a sedimentary rock. It is a metamorphic rock only. But originally they were sediments. ठीक है. It's just like Himalayas. Originally they were sediments, but they got metamorphosized. ठीक है. Now since they are metamorphic, they will be containing metallic minerals. ठीक है. But they are containing metallic minerals. That's why we have. I'll show you iron profile. See iron profile. Yeah, iron profile. Here we have metamorphic rocks, archaneogenesis. Here also we have archaneogenesis. Here also we have archaneogenesis. Dharwar sediments and archaneogenesis. ठीक है. ये हो गया. Now Purana rocks are Kadapa rocks and are broken down into two parts. Kadapa rocks and the Vindhyans. And Vindhyans and आपको you must have guessed why I have covered this Vindhyan, because it is a faulting area. Now if area has undergone a faulting, then simply means it will not have a metallic minerals. Okay. So Vindhyan area, faulting region, so no metallic minerals, and they are famous for diamonds, gemstones and marbles. Okay. So you will say that all the marbles that you are that your home must be all the marble industry. Okay. All the marble industry is coming from the Vindhyan area. Okay. Which is what is Vindhyan area over here? This faulting region. Okay. Over here I have marked. ठीक है. This Vindhyan area. ये वाला ऊपर, स्पेसिफिकली ऊपर वाला, नीचे वाला से सतपुरा है शायद. ठीक है. तो ऊपर वाला. ठीक है. So that's why if you will observe that Golconda and Panna, the Panna diamonds, Golconda, all those things are present over here. I get Dhubgarh Peak is also present over. So that is a faulting region. ठीक है. So no metallic minerals. But Kadapa वाला जो एरिया है, Kadapa वाला कौन सा एरिया है? ये रहा Kadapa, देखो कहाँ है Kadapa. ये वाला ग्रीन है, तो ये वाला Kadapa है थोड़ा सा. ठीक है. ये वाला Kadapa एरिया है. तो over here sediment metamorphic rocks are present. ठीक है. And they are having the metallic minerals. That's why you will see that over here you will find the iron industries. ठीक है. Iron, this copper, iron, gold, all these things will be found. ठीक है. Now this is the Dravidian rock system is primarily not present in India, but in the patches it is present. For example, anthracite, Kolakot. ठीक है. Otherwise in the Dravidian area, in the Dravidian time, ठीक है, Carboniferous period. ठीक है. I covered this in the lecture 1. Carboniferous period, the world coal was formed. The entire coal of the world was formed. ठीक है. Indian coal was formed after this period in the Aryan system. ठीक है. That was a Gondwana period. ठीक है. Before Gondwana, the world rock coal was formed in the Carboniferous period. ठीक है. But when this was forming, the smaller patches of coal was formed in India also in the form of anthracite coal. ठीक है. As in the area Kalakot. ठीक है. Now Aryan rock this is the rock system which I was covering mainly in the Gondwana coal. Indian coal, it is impure. I told this. ठीक है. Since it is impure, it is having more sulfur impurities, so it cannot be used as in the stainless steel. Now Deccan Traps, I told you it was formed in a Cretaceous period. ठीक है. Because in the Cretaceous period this volcanic eruptions took place and the dinosaurs got extinct and the meteors impact was with the earth. ठीक है. So since volcano came out, so this Deccan Traps were formed, black soil क्लेई सॉइल, कैश क्रॉप्स, क्लेई सॉइल, नो ह्यूमस, एरिया, सेल्फ एरिएशन कैपेसिटी, ठीक है, सेल्फ एरिएशन है, क्लेई है, दैट्स व्हाई कैश क्रॉप्स आर एबल, वी आर एबल टू ग्रो द कैश क्रॉप. व्हाट आर द कैश क्रॉप्स ग्रोन ओवर हियर? कॉटन, शुगर केन, ग्राउंडनट, ऑल दोस थिंग्स, ठीक है. Now I guess I wrote the very good answer when this question was asked in mains, Deccan traps. Okay, just because I was able to link up all these things. They asked the economic potential of Deccan traps. I gave the particular examples of key groundnut industry is present in the Gujarat. Okay, let's say this Karnataka is present. Karnataka is having this particular industry. Sugarcane industry is present over here. I drew the perfect map, like a geography optional student. I was able to do because I could extrapolate my understanding in the form of bluffing. ठीक है. Himalayas, I told you it was formed in a tertiary period. ठीक है, तो it is a metamorphic rock. Great Plains, I told you Pleistocene. This it was formed in a Pleistocene when the ice age was present. ठीक है, तो when the ice eventually Holocene period started, ice melting up, ice got melted, then this glaciation, all these things happened. ठीक है. Now this is a fundamental thing. This is a Archean rock. ठीक है. मतलब you can read this map. I have covered the basic understanding part. ठीक है. Soil profile I've covered. Metallic minerals I've covered. ठीक है. Remember this Khetri is important site in Rajasthan. ठीक है. तो it will have now. What do you say that Rajasthan is having which metallic minerals? Rajasthan will have everything because why it will have, because it was a Aravali arm of the peninsular plateau, so it will have iron also, core also, सब कुछ मिल जाएगा यहाँ पे. ठीक है. तो Khetri is an important site over here. ठीक है. Balaghat is an important site in MP. It will also have this copper, iron, सब कुछ मिल जाएगा यहाँ पे. ठीक है तुमको. Then this Kodarma is an important site for bauxite. ठीक है. All then you can read all these names. Kudremukh is important for iron. ठीक है. We export iron to the Japan from here. ठीक है. Nellore is important for Nellore. I'm forgetting Nellore, I guess. Bauxite or this manganese is important. ठीक है. So remember these. At least read these names once. ठीक है. Similarly, it is ये same ही है. ये क्या है? नॉन फेरस. अच्छा, कॉपर एंड बॉक्साइट है इसके अंदर. इनडायरेक्टली यहाँ पे हो ही गया. बॉक्साइट आ गया. कॉपर के लिए आई कवर्ड दिस. कॉपर में ये बालाघाट इंपॉर्टेंट है. अमरकंटक तो ये वही है आपका बायोस्फीयर रिजर्व भी है. ठीक है. देन दिस ये तो सब खेतरी वेतरी है, बता ही दिया मैंने आपको. खेतरी इंपॉर्टेंट साइट है. कोरापुट, मैकाल रेंज, ये सब ये तो आई थिंक दिस पार्ट मनीष मस्ट हैव कवर्ड. ठीक है. इन दिस रैंडमनेस सेशंस. ठीक है. Oil refineries, I told you. ठीक है. The natural refineries are over here, and then these are formed as a part of inclusive growth. ठीक है. So that these areas also started developing. ठीक है. Two times this question has been asked in mains कि why oil refineries are present away from the raw material sources. ठीक है. Generally, we should be making oil refineries along the coast because all the oil will be formed in the saline water area. ठीक है. But still we have this Mathura, Panipat, Bathinda. Why is it so? Because to this bring inclusive growth and all these, there are many other factors. ठीक है. They see all the coast पे तो है ही सब की सब. All the coast पे तो है ही, but we also have inside. So this is a human geography question that comes in mains, and it has been asked twice. ठीक है. एनर्जी ये वही है. देखो ये बना रखा है. नेचुरल गैस पाइपलाइन ये सब बना रखा है. वो क्यों बना रखा है? क्योंकि भाई यहाँ से अब नेचुरल गैस इज प्रेजेंट ओवर हियर एंड इट इज ट्रांसपोर्टेड टू दिस एरिया. ठीक है. Then these are the sites. Now this is the coal area. Coal area होगा पक्का. ये को coal है. I told you ना, glaciation evidence is यहाँ सब coal मिल जाएगा तुमको. ठीक है. ये क्या है? ये saline water है तो oil, natural gas हो गया यहाँ पे. ये रहा natural gas. ठीक है. It is very easy to guess.